When human beings experience anxiety, it usually manifests as one of three behaviors: freeze, fight, or flight. And back at Roland Garros, we saw points like this from Yannick Sinner. Now, this particular kind of missing a second serve return long like this, really implies a freeze response in Yannick Sinner's psychology. A little bit of extra tension through the forearms, a little bit of extra tension through the upper body makes the racket come around a little bit slower and a little bit more open than he's expecting, which is why he misses a little bit long. Now, in our last video, we talked about how Carlos was able to channel his anxiety into a fight response, which is ultimately what works to play high-quality tennis while you're nervous. And at Wimbledon, Sinner made one critical change that let him do the same thing. In the big moments, he elected to hit really, really hard, forcibly overriding that freeze response and replacing it by fiat with a fight response. So in this video, we're going to explain how he did it. We're going to show you how he modified his targeting so he could hit a lot harder without spraying the ball with errors. And we're going to show you exactly what he's doing at net and how he approaches the net in order to make sure he gets maximum reward from the risk he's taking. So James Blake in the broadcast after gave us exactly how much harder Sinner was hitting at the end. Through the first part of the match, he hit his forehand at 82 miles an hour, and in the last 4 games, he hit it at 88. So that is a significant adjustment. And I'm going to recommend, if you're the kind of person who gets tight in big moments, I want you to copy that. Swing harder and swing faster, because it's going to help guide you into that fight response and prevent the freeze response. So how do we actually do that without spraying the ball all over the place? Well, this gets us into the other thing Sinner was doing at the end. Let's look at the shot selection decision on this inside-in forehand that he ultimately rips. So clearly he's got enough time to set up, and there's some space open down the line. So what do you do here? Well, because he's nervous, we know he wants to rocket the ball to make sure he's not tentative. The arm doesn't slow down. He doesn't float that ball a little long. So because of that, instead of aiming close to the line at the speed that he would rather use, which is like the 82 that he used the rest of the match, he's just going to hit it down the absolute center of that side of the court, but at like 100 miles an hour. But the fight response, it's more than just hitting hard. Watch his feet here. See how he recovers towards the baseline, and then watch his split step. His split step is also forward into the court. So when he's talking about in interviews, I just wanted to go for it in the big moments. I wanted the match to be on my racket. We talked about the forearm tension and missing long, but the flight response also manifests in your feet. If you're nervous here, let's say you do somehow manage to hit a good shot here, probably you're recovering straight to the side. Adopting a mental state that's like, I just want to survive the next ball or kind of run away. The fight response manifests like this. I am attacking. I see my opponent is on the back foot, so I'm going to recover closer to the baseline, and then, very Roger Federer-esque, watch the first step from Sinner, boom, explodes forward. Look how early he takes that, like right at the apex. That's pretty much optimal, versus more of a freeze or a flight where you're kind of nervous, feet aren't quite explosive, and you're here, and you kind of set up on the baseline, wait for the ball, roll it back deep, stay calm, stay in the point. The problem with that is, it might work for some people, but generally you are compromising your tennis when you do that, and you need to be in that fight state. Some players fight by staying consistent. So a player like Novak Djokovic, he is in the fight state while he's not missing a single ball. But for a player like Yannick Sinner, that's not the case. When he's in the fight state, this is how he's playing. He is walloping the ball, recovering forward, splitting forward, and then sprinting up to the ball to take it at its highest point. And this is really our other decision point, is right here. Sprint up the ball, hit it, no hesitation coming forward. You see the way he fires the back foot through, immediately lands and springs to net? There was no hesitation here. Not a single bit of hesitation, despite the fact that he's been passed in similar situations to this earlier in the match. Now here, for whatever reason, Alcaraz is going to have to chip it. You don't know when you hit the approach shot if you're going to hit it just barely good enough your opponent chips, or if they're going to get a look. You don't know that. You just have to commit. So it's the same mental thing. It's the same mental process as hitting harder, is just sprint forward and fully commit and fully commit. And Alcaraz is one of the most athletic players on the tour. It's like De Minaur, Djokovic. He keeps these points going. He actually did hit topspin. He actually didn't. He managed to not chip that. That's insane. Look at the geometry of that shot. So Sinner cuts it off for an easy volley. And if you're watching that, you're like, okay, good. Yeah, Sinner was the point. But look at the geometry of Alcaraz's defensive shot here, and imagine if Sinner were at the baseline. So I'm going to play it once more here. So imagine now, let's pause here and imagine if Sinner's at the baseline. This ball is going to go, it's going to land probably around here. Sinner's still going to be on offense, but he's going to have to hit another great forehand to stay on offense. And then Alcaraz is fast, so he might get that. He might have hit another great forehand. He might have hit 3, 4, 5 more very high quality shots in order to win this point, because Alcaraz's defensive shot is so high quality if he's at the baseline. But because he's at net, that is why it's just a trivial knockoff. And the volley's not even that difficult, because Alcaraz doesn't get time to recover, because not only when you're at net is the ball easier because you're right next to the net, but also your opponent gets multiple, probably 2, maybe 3, depending on how fast the ball is going, less seconds to get back to the center of the court, because you're contacting the ball so much earlier and the ball is, double bouncing before Alcaraz can even get back to the center of the court. Now I want to close with this point because it showcases both guys harnessing their fight response to the fullest at the same time, which is pretty uncommon in sports. In my opinion, when you adjust for situation, this is one of the best tennis points ever played. So that's a good return on a good serve. Sinner takes this on the rise, and a fight response, it manifests as no hesitation. But obviously, if you hit this ball at 100 miles an hour when it's this low, it's not going to work. This is the big adjustment Sinner made in this match, though. It was tactical. It was also mental. He is not going to let Alcaraz reset the point. If he hits a miracle winner, he's going to give it to him. Look at this. This is something we haven't seen from Jannik Sinner in the past. Immediate sprint to net. He says, I know you're athletic. I know you're getting to that ball. You will not get an easy shot. You've got to hit a miracle. And Alcaraz hits a great shot. And because Sinner's at net, this point is not neutral. He's way ahead. Okay, let's back up to Alcaraz. Amazing return. The eyes are like one of the first things to go when you get nervous. But he's dialed in, locked in. He's not too anxious. He's not too calm. So the eyes are still there. He makes the return. Another thing, the feet. The fight response from Carlos Alcaraz, this is a dead sprint. There's no tension. There's no hesitation. No tension. No hesitation. And again, Sinner's employing that tactic, which is the only reason he's so far ahead in this point. Otherwise, it's neutral. Carlos Alcaraz, fight response. No tension. No hesitation. Completely locked in. I mean, also, he's just amazing that this ball even goes over the net. And then this is the real fight response is, if it's 30-love in a normal service game, this next wind sprint is probably not worth the energy at the ATP level. But it's not a normal service game. If he loses the game, he loses the match, which is why he is like, I don't care that this is going to be a winner. If you don't hit this volley perfectly, look at Carlos's sprinter stance there. He says, if you don't hit a winner on this ball, I am going to make you pay. And Jannik Sinner, similarly, is at net, fully focused, and he's like, I am going to win this point. I am not going to let you use your athleticism to keep it neutral. Hits that shot, and look, he's fully ready for the next ball. He's totally locked in. There's no relaxation because the point should be over. And he wins this point, gets the 40-love. And there's one more thing I want to show before we close, which is I want you to watch Alcaraz's reaction here. See how he nods? See how he's like, yep, that's too good? That is the reaction you need, the mental state you need in order to not choke. And I know we're talking mostly about Sinner because he won, but remember, Carlos Alcaraz he's got the clutch gene. He is always clutch. He never chokes. He sometimes goes crazy and misses 20 forehands, but it's not choking. He just loses the forehand. See how he's nodding here? This nod is, if it's that good, you're going to beat me. It is outcome independence. He's fully accepted that he might not be able to beat Jannik Sinner, and that fact does not prevent him from sprinting as hard as he can and trying to win. So paradoxically, the fact that he's already accepted that he might lose if Sinner plays well enough is the reason that he can make it so unbelievably difficult for Sinner to win. Sinner has to hit great shot, make a great decision to come to net, and then stay locked in for 2 more shots in order to win it. Sinner managed to do it. Sinner unlocked the same fight response Alcaraz has, which is ultimately why he became the champion.